For the very last time, it's me, Patrick, with the final video lecture based on Kory Floyd's interpersonal communication. It's been a long ride, but finally after over 20 videos, we're finally to the end. I'll get all weepy at the end, but for now, let's get back to lying. This final video will focus on the types of lies that people tell. I'll actually stop using the term lying for a while because, well, that's a bit too simplistic. As you'll see throughout this video, most of deception isn't what we would classify as lying. In fact, we all of us, you, me, your friends, your family, pop superstar Justin Bieber, we all use a lot of deception and we do it on an almost daily basis. But remember what I said in the last video? Maple syrup makes for great pasta sauce? Oh, and also, remember that I said that deception isn't always a bad thing. It's relative. So it's okay that we use deception regularly as long as we're not using it to be evil and, like, take over the world and stuff. So, on to the 4 types of deception. These 4 types are broken into 2 categories: acts of simulation and acts of dissimulation. Acts of simulation is when you make something out of nothing, just something out of nothing, just making stuff up. Acts of dissimulation is when we take something and try to make it lesser somehow, making nothing out of something, in other words. So let's break this down. There are 2 acts of simulation that we might take on when we're being deceptive. The first is called falsification. This is flat out lying. You're just not telling the truth, not even a little bit. It's entirely false, no kernel of truth at all. So that one seems pretty simple, and when we think about deception, it's probably what pops into our head most frequently. So if I told you that I was once president of the Miley Cyrus fan club, I would be lying. Seriously, I've never been a Miley Cyrus fan. I mean, like, really. I'm sorry to those Hannah Montana fans out there. She seems like a really neat person. The second act of simulation is called exaggeration. That is what happens when we are dishonest or making stuff up. But there is some base truth in what we're saying. So, if I said that I was such a fan of the television show Twin Peaks in college that I started and became the president of the Twin Peaks fan club my freshman year, then I would be exaggerating. I was a huge fan of Twin Peaks. The original came out when I graduated high school. And I was a member of the Twin Peaks fan club. I think we were called the Log Lady Society. But I didn't start the club, nor was I president. That's an exaggeration. Now let's move on to acts of dissimulation. These tend to be a bit muddier when we try to define them. The first is called omission. Omission is simply leaving information out. So if I am running late for a meeting, but the reason I was running late was because I left my house late and there was traffic, but when I got to the meeting I just said, "Sorry I'm late, traffic was horrible," I would be omitting that I was partially responsible for my tardiness. Leaving out pertinent information is considered deception. Now that's a pretty low-stakes deception, right? But it is still technically a lie. And to those truth absolutists out there, you should never leave out anything that might be pertinent when conveying information. That's why I am not a truth absolutist. Sometimes I think it's fine to leave a few details out, in low-stakes situations, of course. Another word on omission, it's all about pertinent information. That word, pertinent. Let's say you and your friend went to the library last night to study, and then you went to a party where you had a few drinks, and then you came home and you went to bed without brushing your teeth. You. Now let's say your parents ask you, "What did you do last night?" And you say, "Well, I went to the library with my friend and then came home and went to bed." That would be omission. Well, what part would be deception by omission? Well, you left out 2 pieces of information, going to a party and not brushing your teeth. Which of these is pertinent? That is, which of these 2 pieces of information do you think your parents would want to know? I would guess they would like to know about the party, that your dental health is probably not as high on their priority list, unless your parents are dentists or something. So yeah, just leaving out random small details isn't by itself omission. It's the relevancy of what you leave out. That could be kind of subjective, I think. Oh, and on a side note, why are you still living with your parents? Come on, get your own place. Some of you are like almost as old as me. You really should be on your own by now. Okay, the second act of dissimulation is called equivocation. I spelled this one for you. because it's a lot of letters. This is what you do when you give information that is vague or ambiguous in some way, and it creates an impression that isn't quite true. When we equivocate, we're not being entirely honest with our communication. For example, if somebody says, "What do you think of my maple pasta sauce?" you might say, "That sauce is something else," leading me to believe that you liked it, when in reality you didn't. Obviously, this is a false scenario, because if you tried this sauce, you would love it. But you know this is a hypothetical in some alternate universe. Let's go back to that party example earlier. If your parents asked you if you went to a party last night, equivocation might sound like this. "But Dad, you told me I couldn't go to parties without your permission," leaving Dad to believe that then you must not have gone last night. A lot of deception happens through equivocation. Again, some of it is okay. Low-stakes deception, especially to be polite, is pretty acceptable. So those are the 4 types of deception: falsification, exaggeration, omission, and equivocation. And that, my friends, is the last video you'll ever see from me. Unless you go back and watch those videos again, like if you wanted to prepare for the mega quiz. Nah, I don't think you're going to do that because you took such good notes the first time. There's no need to watch these videos again. So I guess this is goodbye. I want to say that. Well, it's been quite a ride. So many memories. All those times you clicked the link and watched a video. It all just seems like yesterday. Sigh. Okay, enough weepiness. Go forth and communicate, my awesome and amazing students. Until we meet again, be excellent to each other.